Hi, welcome to the Brian Murray Show, a real estate show, New Jersey style. This is episode 6, and it's Halloween, trick or treat. As a realtor and as selling real estate, Halloween is a significant date on the calendar because it's really the countdown to the holidays. You have about 3 to 4 weeks from Halloween to Thanksgiving. And once Thanksgiving comes, then it is the holiday period, the slowest period for real estate from Thanksgiving to January 1st. And then the second slowest period is January 2nd to really February 15th. So you're coming into 2 periods of relative quietness when it comes to real estate volume. So if you're a seller, know that you have about 4 weeks to get your act together and get your home sold, or you're going to be dealing with the cold of winter. And if you're a buyer, a lot of those homes go off the market during the holiday period because sellers don't want to have to get their homes ready and show and have strangers in there when they're having family over, when they're getting their holiday preparations ready, maybe when they're cooking big meals and they've got a lot of stuff lying around. So that time is compressed. Also, the other trick that's coming up is November 3rd, you roll back the clocks, fall back. So what does that mean for real estate? It means that there's less light out there. There's less light when you're looking at property later in the day. So properties tend to not show as well in the dark as they do in the light when you can see really what the light is coming through the windows. And also for open houses. It tends to give people a little less time on the weekend when it's light out to do the things they want to do. So open houses might be an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour period, and it's easy in June, July, May, April even, when there's lots of light and you can still bang out 2-3 hours worth of open houses and have plenty of light to do other things. But in the winter time or after November 3rd, there's going to be less time, and so maybe people don't go out quite as much to look at open houses. So this is the period where it's more trick than treat, and that's the discussion point for today. This week's hot topic is market reports. A lot of times you'll get different real estate reports from different sources about what's going on in the market. Some of them are really fancy, some of them are basic. Here's what's universal about all of them. They tend to be very macro. They say real estate is all about location, location, location. But real estate reports tend to be very macro and not very focused on a location. Even if you do a city by city or town by town report, they tend to be too macro. And really they need to be micro reports, apples to apples reports. A lot of times you'll take things like days on market, you'll take inventory, you'll take price, increase or decrease in price. And when you look at it on a macro level, it may mean one thing. But if you're living in a specific kind of a condo, say a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, elevator with parking at 1,100 square feet that is walkable to the path, you are in a micro market. You may be doing very different, and your experience may be very different from the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, walk 5th floor, walk up 20 minutes from the path. So it's very micro oriented is what you really need in a report. The macro level will give you sort of, hey, what's the direction of the overall market? If days on market jump from 20 to 40, if inventory jump from 150 condos to 300 condos, it'll give you some sense as to what's going on. But really specifically right now, there are homes on the market that are really struggling in their segment, and there are homes that are going with multiple bidding wars in a day or two. So really when you look at the reports, see what the numbers mean behind it. Reach out to the person who created the reports. I create reports on a monthly and a quarterly and a yearly basis. And then the other thing is when you're looking at, say, months of inventory on the market that people kind of judge as to anything 3 and below is a seller's market. Anything 4 to 6 is kind of a neutral market. Anything more than 6 tends to be a buyer's market. Look at how those numbers are calculated. Are they calculated based on sales? Are they calculated based on contracts? Are they calculated based over a 1 month period, a 1 week period, even a quarter period, to kind of see, hey, how is somebody judging where this market is? Because those answers can be very different if you take the total number of sales divided by the available homes, or you take the total number of contracts divided by the available homes, whether it's a month or a week or a year, and just kind of really seeing where those are. So get deep into the numbers to understand what they mean. This is the hot topic on market reports. Ask the Expert segment. Today I have Jackson Murray, an expert in Halloween candy. So Jackson, what's the best Halloween candy that a homeowner should give out?
The best Halloween candy is definitely Kit Kats. Overall, I think the state of New Jersey loves Kit Kats, and I think I even saw an article the other day that said that the #1 candy in New Jersey is Kit Kats.
And then you have to be careful about the Skittles, because those kids with braces, the parents will be very upset with that, correct?
Yeah, that was the bane of my existence back when I had braces.
Now that you're through that. And now, do you prefer, when you go to somebody's door, to be able to choose your own candy, or just get the surprise that they give you?
So, personally, I like to choose my own candy. The problem with that is that you have a lot of kids who take too much candy, and then there's not any candy left. And that's just very annoying. But also, if you're a homeowner, I think that you would probably be better off just giving out the candy, because #1, it's part of the experience. When you're younger, you want to get the candy. But #2, it's also, you spend all this money on candy to give out to kids. And it's like, if one kid's taking all of it, it's kind of like they're taking all your money, and you're not getting as much out of it, and you're not making as many kids happy as.
And when is, and where are the best times to trick or treat in Hoboken?
So on Washington Street, the best time is right after school. It gets very packed towards the end of the day, and because usually kids go home right after school, relax for a little bit, then come to Washington Street. But if you go right after school, there's usually not that many people there. But overall, Washington Street is very packed, and it's not the greatest place to trick or treat. It's good if you're younger, but you just don't get as much candy. Then you go to the Brownstones, which is supposedly supposed to be the place where you get the most candy. But the only way that you get that much candy from the Brownstones is if you go late at night. This way you don't have to wait in lines. There are actually lines for kids waiting to get candy from the Brownstones, because they're supposed to be the people who give out the mythical full bars, right? Like everybody wants the full bars. And then personally, but I live in an apartment building, so I go trick-or-treating my apartment building between when I go to Washington Street and when I go to the Brownstones, so sort of like that middle of day.
And if you want to be known as the best candy stop on your block or in your building, what do you recommend?
I recommend giving out full Kit Kat bars.
Full Kit Kat bars.
There's nothing better than that. There's just nothing better than that.
Well, thanks, Jackson. This is the Ask the Expert segment. Welcome to the good, the bad, and the ugly. But today it's going to be the good, the great, and the ugly, along the Halloween theme. The good is, in an urban environment, Hoboken and other towns, they have Halloween parades. So the whole town can come out and see all the little kids dressed up and make it really a community event versus when you're in the suburbs, and it tends to be very much more a neighborhoody thing with just a few kids here and a few kids there. We have a built-in community event, and that's really good. And the great is that the trick-or-treating is all very condensed. A few years ago, I took my kids out to the suburbs thinking, oh, it'd be much better trick-or-treating out there. And must have walked like 10 miles. One house to the next house. You had to go all the way up the walk. get the candy, then walk all the way back, then walk to the next house, which was like a quarter mile away, and then walk all the way up the walk and get the candy and come back. I mean, it felt like I golfed like 5 rounds that day just to get, you know, a sack full of candy. Here, you get the candy on Washington Street, you go over to the Brownstones, and you get more candy than you can possibly imagine in just a short amount of time, and you don't feel completely exhausted from it. Personally, I never really understood this whole candy getting thing anyway. I buy a whole bag of candy and I give it to other kids, and then my kids come home with basically the same amount of candy. So it's just redistribution of candy. Can't I just stay at home and give my kids a bunch of candy? I don't know. So that's the good and the great. And the ugly, can't wait until we mix e-scooters with Halloween this year. Crazy people on costumes, crazy people getting drunk, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman driving around on scooters, crashing into little trick-or-treaters. That's gonna be ugly. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. This week's inspiration: a person should always choose a costume which is in direct contrast to her own personality. Lucy Van Pelt. Thanks for watching the show this week. I welcome your questions and comments. Please do follow me on Instagram and YouTube. And if there's anything that you disagree with in the show this week, please reach out to me and I'll tell you why you're wrong.